So you're trying to write these warm-up questions using algebra. So you're not actually solving them or anything, you're just writing out the expressions. And so there's an unknown. The number, when it says a number, they're talking about a variable here. So you can like define that as like X or A, whatever your favorite variable is there. A for Abby.
No.
All right, so 8 less than a number cut in half. What do you guys think? Can you just read it like left to right? Can I do 8 minus
No.
X half?
No.
No, probably not the best way to write it. So 8 less than. So if I said like my younger sister is, her age is 8 less than my age, I would take my age and subtract 8 from it, right? So subtraction's a little bit trickier that you actually have to take it away after. So a number cut in half, how did you guys show that?
X.
Half X. Anyone write it another way? 0.5X, another way. X over 2 you could do as well, something like that, half of it. Okay? And then you do 8 less than that, so you can take the 8 away. So making sure it makes sense in terms of how you write it. So 8 minus a half X is a different situation. You're taking that 8 away. If I say I have $8 less than you, like then you take your amount of money and then subtract 8 from it. All right, so I heard Kinsey asking about this. The word sum, what does sum stand for? Like, what does sum mean?
Addition.
Sum is addition.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
But why is it a special, like, why didn't I just say addition? Why is this one special? What do you need for that? I think I heard it. Parentheses. So when you see the word sum, it means solution to an addition problem. So sum, we're going to have a solution. So that's why it's important we use parentheses. So I'm adding a number in 5, and I'm doing 3 times the sum of that. So when you see the word sum, it usually means parentheses and addition. So it's a good idea to use it. Parentheses really don't hurt very much. Like, it doesn't hurt to add them just in case, like kind of in this circumstance. So we do want parentheses in that case. Okay, questions there? So we'll use some of those types of words like sum. You can always like check, like you have Google as a resource. I mean, there's some of the more common ones we'll use in here, but sum is definitely one of the ones that's easy to forget about when you're not in math class. It's not like for the last 6 months you've been using SUM as a way to talk about addition. So, all right, so today we're talking about multi-step equations. So we're solving equations like all the way back to Algebra 1. And again, if you guys still kept your Algebra 1 notes when you guys have me, those of you guys who did, this would probably be examples we did in Algebra 1. We probably just did them over the course of a week versus doing it all in one day. So we probably started with like 2-step equations and kind of eased our way into it. Here we're starting kind of like fast and furious here. So I kind of give you guys a tough one to begin with. And so this is considered a multi-step equation. Obviously not every equation will be this big, but I figured we'd start with like the most difficult. What would you guys want to do first in this example? You guys think that? Distribute. So just like we talked about last class, we talked about distributing before we combine like terms. So that's what we're going to do first, is distributive property. Now, if there is no distributing we need to do, then we can skip that step. But there is in this case. And we're going to distribute that 4 in. So I'm going to rewrite what I have with that 4 distributed in. the next step, you probably know the little A and B, you might not know what to write there, so like kind of be patient with me for that a little bit. What do you guys want your next step? We talked about that last class as well.
Combine like terms.
Combine like terms. So now my next step is gonna be combine like terms.
Said it before you could.
So we're gonna combine like terms, and the A and B is something that I work with my algebra students on, is knowing kind of what's the best way to start combining like terms. What I do first is I work on each side of the equal sign first, and then I'll move some things around to either side. So on each side separately, and so on each side of the equal sign first. So I'm gonna look over here, I'll combine these two first. And then I'll look over here and I can combine those two. So I kind of combined on each side of the equal sign separately there. Now my step B is where I want to bring all the C's to one side of the equal sign. That's my next step that I like to do. It's not the only way to get to this answer, but I like to move the C's all to one side. So I'm going to put all the variables on one side. And I typically move it, like I usually move the smaller variable over, but I'm going to put all the variables on one side. So move the variables to one side. So what variable do you guys want to move?
5C.
I would like to move the 5C as well, because that's the smaller of the two. I like to stay positive in math and in life. Oh yeah, that was deep. I know. So when I move that 5C over, it cancels on that left side, so I'm just left with 8. Here I have a 2C. And now we're ready to get into the solving steps. Now, if you didn't do exactly the same steps in the same order we did, that you end up with the same answer, that's perfectly fine. I'm not saying this is the only way to get here, especially the fact that you guys are now in Algebra 2. I'm not expecting that we all do everything like totally uniformly. However, this is just a reminder of how you probably learned it. Someone probably suggested these steps, and that's what you did as well. So now at this point, I need to now get the variable alone. So I'm going to add or subtract to isolate the variable. So we're going to add or subtract to isolate the variable. So I want to get that C alone. So what am I going to do?
Add 2.
I'm going to add 2. So I should get 10 over here.
And then you're gonna.
Stop picking on me.
Do you want me to say it?
Sure.
You're gonna divide by 2 on each side.
Yeah. Now, in order to get your C alone, we're going to either multiply or divide. We're going to divide. So we end up with C being 5. And the last step is really just kind of check your answer. Like if you have a few extra minutes, you can always put the answer back in and check it. I'm not going to require a check, but I usually leave that on there just. Okay. Questions? If you went wrong somewhere, do you figure out what you did, or? So there's another couple of examples. Might give you guys a couple of minutes to try them before I start them. Do you need me to go back to that? You want to write it down? It's okay, because they're going to be working anyway. Okay, that's fine. So we have to keep moving, so we're not just going to wait. But. You guys want to try the next couple? Give you guys a few minutes. If you want to wait for us, it's fine as well. I think this one's good. I think that one distributed wrong.
See, I distributed wrong.
You distributed wrong too. Don't go too far. Don't go skipping on to the back side with me in case you did something wrong on the front side. We're gonna check those answers in a second. Don't go too far.
It's not 1.5. Okay, then you did it right. You did it right.
Okay. So, you guys ready for 1 and 2? Or you want me to wait? A little time. Yeah, I can wait. You want to? I can work ahead. You're welcome to. I just tell you to be cautious.
Oh, I know what I did.
Just to ask that you cop down on what we're doing then when we're there.
Wait, no, wait.
All right. Okay, so let's talk about these. So again, even if you're on the back side, if you guys could flip back to the front with us, just in case you think you're some sort of expert and maybe a little bit rustier than you thought.
Yeah.
So let's talk about 1 and 2. So in this case, what'd you guys do first, number 1?
Combine like terms?
Combine like terms. So those negative h's go together, right? Negative h, what do we get? Negative 2h. It's a negative 1 and a negative 1, so negative 2. Okay. Once we have that, then we need to move the 19. So negative 2h equals a negative 6.
5, negative 2.
Yeah.
That's correct.
So h is 3. That one go okay?
Yeah, Abby got that one.
Yeah, we got that one.
Okay.
All right. So next one here. What did you distribute in this case? This is where I saw people go wrong looking quickly. What should you distribute? What's that?
Negative.
The negative. So this negative has to be distributed. It's not the 4m, it's that negative 1 that's there. Because if I took that 4m out of this problem, it still is a problem that I'm able to distribute there. So we get 4m, this becomes a minus 2m, and then this becomes a plus 1. So it changes both of those signs. If you didn't do that, you might have made a little mistake there. Not a huge thing, but obviously going to change your answer. Then I have some like terms I can combine.
Oh. Got it.
Just through my mask.
You drank through your mask.
Why can I accidentally?
Yeah, I go right.
So 2m will equal 7. And then I'll divide by 2. So 7 halves or 3.5. Questions there at all? Okay, you guys want to keep plugging along? Looks like you do. So we'll do that. We'll take a break in a little bit. I'll give you guys a little bit of time again to work through some of these, and we'll start on them. If you're stuck somewhere, we'll talk about them. Yeah. Oh, you could, yeah, that works. The only thing is, it's just 19 minus 13 is just 6. So what you did was fine. It's just like a silly mistake makes it look really bad, you know, so.
I really think it's not so.
Getting my heart.
So if we're far enough away from you guys, we're supposed to be able to be without our masks like the teachers are. I just feel like that's cruel. If I was up here like,
Yeah, Mr. Atkins always like, oh, going forward.
Miss Wallace takes hers off when she's at her desk.
yeah. This then she's not like, you guys don't have face either, but I feel like now I'm just like hovering and breathing over you. So I feel
I'm
like
so used to wearing it. When I first walked in, I was like, wait, am I wearing my mask?
Okay. You guys want more time? Yeah, sorry. So if you don't know how to start one, or you're unsure, you're a little like, I'm not quite sure, you can wait a second. We'll talk about these. Once we go through a couple more, we'll take a. I made a Kahoot out of the things you guys told me yesterday. So if you paid attention,
Short King.
some of you guys may not be included in this Kahoot because of the fact that I didn't have like a true fact about you. I don't know. So.
Oh,
Well, I
dang.
hope you could make a second floor. I think I remember most.
I don't know who's a twin though.
Yeah. That's it. I think it's Jax.
Jax, your sister included you on her fun fact.
Yeah, but she's.
Says that you guys get along. She said you guys get along. Thought that was
Do you?
Sometimes.
Obviously, he's nice during this. Doesn't want to let us know.
Now, if I was Lena.
He's a big softie in the inside.
My brother and I get along really well, and we did in high school. Except if we were like boxing or like beating each other. Not boxing, like we were like fighting like cats and dogs, or like
Yeah, there's no in between.
No.
I think that is so nice.
what Brad did.
He goes out in my car and he frosts it in the morning.
Oh, that is
like,
really
oh, nice.
Brad's gonna make a good husband.
Right?
He does that for
When
his
I
own
asked
benefit too.
Noel
Yeah.
to turn on the TV. He just wants to turn on the car. That's why.
My little guy is like total like the calling boy for my older son will be like, hey, or Griffey, go get this. Griffin's like runs to do it. I'm like, don't do that. Like they can like.
See, you gotta train your little sibling to be your servant.
That's what I
That's
did.
what
That never worked. I always had to get something out of it.
Yeah.
Like if it was like food, I had to get something out of it.
Brad's always like, pay me $100. I'm like, you think I have that money?
Yeah, I
All right,
agree.
guys, here.
I've seen the
So-
picture.
13 minus 4 gives us a 9x. Plus 2 equals 38. So then we need to move that 2 over. So then 36 here.
Yes.
And then we end up with just. Now, probably more often than when you were in Algebra 1. I don't even know if it's been open yet. When you're in Algebra 1, a lot of times your answers worked out to be really nice numbers. That doesn't happen as much in Algebra 2 as it did in Algebra 1. I don't know.
Or on the ground, maybe it'll work.
I'm like trying to get some out.
Obviously, it hasn't been used yet. I'll have to work on it later. I don't know.
I touched
No
it.
clean hands for you. Okay.
Yeah.
Hear that, virtual people? No, just kidding. Okay.
Yeah.
So, in this next one, I saw a few of you guys wait on this one. What do we distribute in this case?
2.
The 2 gets distributed. For whatever reason, I think we see like 1 plus 2 and you just like want to do that part of it. You're like, oh, I need to solve that part. You have to wait. So the 2 is being distributed in. You have to do that first before you do that addition. So if you added that 1 to begin with, the whole rest of this is going to be wrong. Sorry. So this is going to be 6. It's negative 8x. So you have to distribute in that 2 first. And now we can combine like terms. So now these 2 go together. Okay. What do we do now?
Move the 8.
Yeah.
I like moving the X at this point, because if you move the 7 right now, it's gonna be really confusing, but I'm gonna move the -7 or -8X over.
Yeah.
Okay? Makes it a little more clear what to do. Now I would move the 7. So 7 minus 7 is 0, and I need to put a 0 as like a placeholder there. Otherwise, we're kind of missing part of the problem. So this will equal 14x. And then to get x alone, we're going to divide by 14. Now, if I have no cookies and I divide it amongst 14 friends, how many cookies does each of my friends get?
One.
None.
They get none.
I'm just teasing Lindsay.
But if you have 14 cookies, you divide them amongst
You're like,
no
oh
friends,
my
then
If I have 14 cookies and 14 friends, 14 cookies.
Cookie Monster likes cookies. Okay. So should we take a break?
Yeah.
We're gonna play Kahoot.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, online people, we're breaking on you here.
Make sure to give a like. Turn on post
We had someone on,
We'll come back.
we had someone on Google Meet, an Egon, and then Mr. Roger, or Mr. Jones.